Hey, Sonny, we'll go through this one together. Okay, here's your problem. The first thing you're going to want to do is take your data and find the mean and the standard deviation. So you can click on this little box right here, copy to clipboard, and then pull up Excel. And then just paste it in there. Okay, and then we're just going to find the mean, which is the average in Excel. All right, and then we find the standard deviation, STDEV, open parentheses, highlight our data, close parentheses. So we have a mean of, or a sample mean of 1.595 and a sample standard deviation of 1.88, well, we'll just say 3. Okay, so that's our mean and our standard deviation, and what we're looking for is a 95% confidence interval. Over here, I've got displayed, this is what you're going to calculate. You take your mean, which we just calculated, minus this margin of error, and then you take your mean plus your margin of error. And now your margin of error is T alpha over 2, standard deviation divided by root n. So we know our standard deviation is 1.883. Our root n, I think there was 5 observations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to be the square root of 6, okay? And now we just need to figure out what T alpha over 2 is. We're going to use the table in the back of the book. It is the T table, table A3, okay? And you need to know 2 things. We're doing a 95% confidence interval. This means that alpha is going to be equal to 0.05, okay? And when we're looking at confidence intervals and your alpha is 0.05, look at that under the two-tail test. And then next you need to know your degrees of freedom. Your degrees of freedom is just your n minus 1. Your number of observations minus 1. In this case we have 6 observations, subtract 1. Our degrees of freedom is 5. Now once we're armed with 0.05 and 5 degrees of freedom, we can go to our T table. Okay. On the left-hand column is my degrees of freedom. I'm looking for 5. And across here under the two-tail, that's why I mentioned that, you're going to look for 0.05. And in this case, we get 2.571 because that's where the two merge. 5 degrees of freedom, 0.05. 2.571. So I'm going to plug that in, 0.571. And now I just need to calculate what that number is. I'm going to take 2.571 times 1.883 and divide by square root of 6. Okay, so if we calculate this out, 2.571 times 1.883 divided by square root 6, we get 1.976. Use your calculator. So now to get my confidence interval, I take the mean, which is right here, 1.595, and subtract 1.976. That's this right here. Mean minus margin of error. And when I do that, I get minus 0.381. That's going to be the lower end of my confidence interval. Okay. And then I do the same thing, take my mean, 1.595, but this time I'm going to add 1.976. And if I do that, I get 3.57, I did it in Excel, 1. Okay. All right, and that's going to be the upper end of my confidence interval. So that's how we construct a 95% confidence interval. Let me know if you have other questions.